Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Coaches, One Topic. And today we are going to be exploring the wonderful world of being an expat and what's our interpretation of it, because we just had a brief discussion and all of us have a different definition of what an expat is and what it means to us. And we're also going to be looking at some of the stereotypes of being an expat, and definitely here in the UAE, Dubai specifically. But before we get started, I would love for Silvia and Carol to tell you a little bit about them and their business. And we'll start with you, Silvia.
Sure. Hi, Donna, and hi, everyone. I'm Silvia Bottini. I'm an executive and team coach and work with managers, leaders in organization to support them to create an authentic presence that obviously creates an authentic influence and motivation, power for their teams to perform in an effective way. And I'm based in Dubai, like you, Donna, and like you, Carol.
Thank you. Carol, over to you.
Hi, I am Carol Glynn and I am a business and personal finance coach. My business is Conscious Finance Coaching. And what I do is I take the overwhelm, the shame, the frustration and the boredom out of managing money, be it in your personal finances or your business finances, because I believe there is so much power in those numbers, and by ignoring them and being afraid of them, we are giving that power away. So that's essentially what I do. I'm also here in Dubai for 13 and a half years now. And yeah, delighted to talk about this topic. It's a good one, I think.
yeah, it is going to be a good one. And I think we're all very grateful and feel passionate about, what the UAE has given us. But before we get on to that, I've just noticed, Silvia, I left the L out of your name. So apologies for that.
I have noticed now.
Yeah, I know. So it is Silvia. But so I'm Donna, and I'm a joy and purpose coach, and I love parenting. So I connect with a lot of parents and do workshops and one-to-one sessions to inspire and to bring joy and to help with routines and empowering their children to be themselves and to reconnect with each other. I also run a group called Coaches Supporting Coaches here in Dubai, and this is where we all come together and share the different teachings we've had from many different schools, but we also look at our coaching skills and competencies and building ethical and professional and lawful coaching businesses. So I am in my element with the parenting and with the Coaches Supporting Coaches Dubai. So, right, let's get started, because I would love to know your interpretation of being an expat. Do you feel like an expat, and where you haven't felt like an expat?
Interesting question, Donna. And if I can go first, I can share my experience. I have been an expat for half of my life, and I'm originally Italian. I lived in Italy for 23 years and then moved to the UK for 14, to Germany, Frankfurt for 2 years, to Austria, 2 years again in Vienna, and now 10 years in Dubai. And I have to say, I really feel an expat in Dubai, but I didn't feel an expat when I was in Europe and in the UK. And if I think about this, it's because in Europe, I felt the culture and the way of living was closer to my way of living in Italy. But in the UAE, I feel I'm completely in a very different culture. And then I feel an expat, I need to make an effort to pay more attention to what other culture do, what they desire, how they express themselves, you know. So this is my point, my contribution here on the definition of expat.
Interesting how you didn't feel like that in Europe, but you do here.
Yes.
So what about you, Carol?
So I only really heard the phrase expat when I came here. You know, I didn't really know what it was. Before I came here, I largely lived in Ireland, but I spent, say, 3 months in the US and 6 months in Singapore, but always with a time to go home. You know, it was a set period of time. Here, it's however long, you know, there's no deadline to it. So I think for me, that's the definition, like that we've moved abroad. So it's not just for a period of time. And then it does feel different here, I think, to maybe other countries that people may move to, probably because there is such a cultural difference to, you know, I'm Irish, to living in the UAE. But then the UAE, I think, is very unique in that it's just a melting pot of cultures. So obviously you have the Emirati culture, but because we have so many expats, as we say, from all over the world, you know, there isn't really one overpowering, defining culture, I think, that I've experienced, and which is one of the things that I love about being here, because it is so diverse, it is so interesting, and we do meet people from all over the world. But I do have that feeling here of I'm an expat in the UAE, and we are referred to as expats here. More so than, you know, I have relations in the US. They don't refer to themselves as expats that I'm aware of, or in Australia. Not that I'm aware of, we just don't use that language. So it's interesting right here. It's so much, but maybe it's just my experience.
No, but that's an interesting point, because thinking back, now I've been an expat all my life. I'm British. I've got a British passport. My family's British, but I grew up in the army, and I wasn't even born in the UK. Most of my childhood I spent in, I was born in Hong Kong, spent 2.5 years in Cyprus, 4 years in Germany. And that was up to the age of 11. So, you know, and I've only spent 10 years of my life in the UK. And I've lived in Australia, Ireland, the UAE. I came out here 27 years ago. And it's funny. I never felt like an expat in Australia, but I do feel like an expat in England, which is bizarre, because technically that's my homeland. And the same with the UAE. I just feel like this is home. Other people refer to me as being an expat, and I have referred to myself as being an expat, but I just feel so safe, so happy here, and the opportunities are endless. Basically, if you can dream it, you can do it here, which is great for creative people. How do you feel about, you know, that aspect of living in the UAE? What is it giving you?
And I couldn't agree more with that. I've done more in, I think, the 13.5 years here than I ever could have imagined. And even what other people might have imagined. You know, you come here and I still get it, you know, what's it like for women there? It must be very restrictive. You don't have the opportunities there that you would have in Ireland. You know, you need to come home. You know, my kids were born here, but technically they're expats, even though they were born here, and this is home for them. And, you know, if I look back through my career, you know, very male-driven industry, very male-driven profession, but yet I was given opportunities here that maybe I would have, but I'm not so sure. I think they arise here faster than they do in other countries. And there is that assumption that women are, you know, not treated well here. And I always go back to the example of, I had, in one company I worked for, I had 2 pregnancies while I was there, very close to each other, and I was offered promotions. I didn't seek them out. I was offered promotions during both pregnancies. You know, if you want to talk about equal opportunities for women, now you can say that might be the company, but it doesn't matter. It was my situation here, my experience here in the UAE. And I have found that a lot here, just people opening doors. People want to help each other. People are ambitious. They are open-minded. They're creative. There's extreme. It seems to attract a lot of very creative people who are interested in getting stuff done. And I think because we are so diverse, it also means people are open to different ideas and different opportunities. And yeah, I mean, everything from my career to my business, it's really, I feel, and back to even that feels safe for me. Someone said to me recently, would it not be easier to set up your business in Ireland? I said, I wouldn't know where to start. I actually last summer I sat and I thought about, I want to set up an actual, incorporate my business in Ireland as well, to have one there and have one here. And I thought, where do I even begin? And it felt quite overwhelming. Whereas here, it's like, oh, okay. And I know people and I have connections that, I can chat to. Yeah, and I guess that's home, right? That is where you feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sylvia, I can see you're eager to share yours.
I'm hearing what Carol is saying, and she's saying she feels safe. And I actually, right now, I have the feeling that I want to say, I feel really brave here in the UAE, because when I came to the UAE 10 years ago, I said, okay, this is your opportunity to do something that you've dreamed about. This is the land of opportunities. So when you say safe, I also want to add, you are safe here to be brave, to embrace something that you want to do, contribute, to help the UAE, because we have to think about, we are in a country that is developing really, really fast, in a city that is growing fast. So basically our role in this city, that we want it or not, is to be part of this development. And this is why I feel very motivated I felt very motivated when I started my coaching business here in the UAE. I felt also very supported, because you find so many communities. This is one, for example, coaches supporting coaches, where you can go to, where you can exchange your ideas. You are really supported. And I think this is also happening because we are all expats and we know what it means to be away from our country. So we know that our support actually are other expats. Our support systems, for me, for example, becomes the people I've met here. The mothers that are bringing their children to school, like I do with mine, for example, or you, for example, the coaches that are really active in the coaching field and that they want to create a community here in Dubai. Yeah. So very much safe to be brave.
I love that. And I will be using that as a hashtag.
Yeah, that is brilliant. That is exactly it. Because you still have to be brave. You still have to put yourself out there. You still have to do everything. Yes. But yeah, it feels safer to do here.
Yeah, it is definitely an embrace. And look, 27 years ago, the UAE was very different to what it is now. Very, very different. And there were some difficulties, but it has progressed towards the right direction. It is very much they're trying to incorporate so many things to do with your mental well-being, supporting women in the workplace, at home. One thing that I can mention, Female Fusion have been instrumental to me, and the amount of women from so many different walks of life, so many different stages in building their own business, and yet they will come together and bend over backwards to support you. Now, Jen Blandos, who runs that, is, a fierce force in supporting women in the UAE with their businesses. But there are so many pockets of communities here. And what's nice is the more you get out of your comfort zone, the braver you are, but the experience is so much richer. Now, if you're going to come to the UAE, say as a Brit, and you just want to mix with British people, and you're looking for your little Britain, you are missing a world of opportunity here. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed people coming over and sticking to their own nationalities?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that's also one of the things I like about here, because you can live any life you want. So there is a tendency sometimes for, I'm Irish, and I constantly get asked, is there many Irish out there? And have you got Irish friends? And we actually came and deliberately did the opposite. We're like, no, we came to Abu Dhabi. We're going to be here and meet people from all over the world. We didn't come here to just have Irish friends. Now, we maybe took it a bit extreme in the beginning, but we've balanced it out now because we wanted that expat or that international experience. But what I love about here is that you can come here. If that's your comfort zone and that's what you want to do, you can do that. Or you can immerse yourself in the international. You can immerse yourself in the flashy if you want to. You can immerse yourself, like my dad always comments about how, where I live, it's very green. There's lakes that he goes for walks around, and people are shocked because they don't perceive Dubai as green or lakes. Yeah. And they expect to see skyscrapers and sand. And I'm like, yes, it can be that if that's what you're interested in. I want nature. I want ease. I want to be close to my children's school. I want to be in a community. So I have found that, and I choose to live my life that way. And that's what I like about here. I could move 2 miles away and immerse myself in a very different lifestyle, in the sense that I could be, somewhere with more, let's say, extravagant or whatever. And that's what I like about here. You can choose that. But I do agree with you. I think if you come here and you just spend your life in your own community, then you are missing a massive opportunity for sure.
Can I just jump in here? Because I will have to say, when I came out here 27 years ago, it was to Ras Al Khaimah. And what I loved about that was that you were immersed in the Middle East and the Arab culture a lot more. And whilst everything grows and changes for a reason, and it's great, since then, it has lost, for me personally, very, very westernized. And, you will have pockets of, and I don't like to use the word compounds, or they're little communities. And then you tend to stay in those. So for me, it has lost that little bit of mixing with the locals and that Middle Eastern mystic, hearing the prayer calls and the smells and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I think you can still find that, right? I mean, I moved here in 2009, and that was the biggest thing I noticed from moving from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. So when I moved to Abu Dhabi in 2009, and I was working for an audit company, and most of my clients were local companies. So they were government-owned companies, which are a large population of the employees are Emiratis. So every day I met Emiratis. And then I came to Dubai, and I went to a company where I sat in a finance department and sat in an office and looked at the 8 people around me and my screen all day. It was a massive culture shock, because I was like, where is the Middle Eastern feel that I had in Abu Dhabi? But then again, it was probably my job. It was my personal experience. But it's still there if you want it. I think it's still there if you want it.
Yes, you definitely have an incredible opportunity here in Dubai to go out and explore and connect with the people that are living here and are Emirati, and all the expats. It's there, it's available to you. And again, we use this word, it's a very safe environment, Dubai. We all know it. You're safe to go out to a party, to an evening with friends. Nothing major ever happens. You're safe to shop, to be free. The opportunity is there. It's a question, how curious are you, and how much exploring do you want to add into your life? Now, in my profession as an executive coach, where I listen a lot to understand the reality of other people, I obviously want, as Carol said, much contact with people that are not necessarily from my home country, from Italy. I really crave that, the contact with Emirati, the contact with other nationality, because I feel it is enriching. But at the same time, I every now and then go back to a very, very safe space. And I have to say, I have some very dear Italian friends here in Dubai, and I go back to that. So there's the opportunity to really experiment.
Yeah.
And also mix your identity, define your identity in this process of exploring the Emirati culture and other culture. I feel my culture and my own cultural identity is defined constantly. I bring in elements of other cultures that I would have never dreamed of incorporating, if I had lived for my entire life in Dubai. And this is one aspect of expat life that I absolutely treasure. It helps to create this fluid identity.
I love everything that you're saying there. And I think also, when we are around people of our own nationality, it's a comfort zone. I mean, whilst you can have so many friends from different nationalities, as soon as you've got someone and you mention a TV show when you were growing up or your favorite sweet, and they get it, somebody from your homeland get it, there's that nostalgia that comes. We've just got a comment from Paul, and Paul saying, I agree. I think you will see that all over the world. Some people will just stick to what they know and are comfortable with, but they do miss out on so much. Yeah. And again, I love what you said, Silvia, with regards to, the UAE gives you permission to be brave. That safety helps you to be courageous and to step out of your comfort zone. Because when we do come from, so this is where we're going to get onto stereotypes, because we do have that, the way we're brought up, society in our own homelands. And then when you come to Dubai and you're actually mixing with so many different nationalities, different careers, different life experiences, it exposes you to so much. And I have to say, one thing that does pee me off is when people assume because you've lived in the UAE for a certain amount of time, you must be rich, you must have this, you must have that, and it's it's not. It's made up of hard working people. So
and I'd like to say something, Carol, if I may, here about this working mentality that we have here in Dubai. I wouldn't call it working mentality. I really feel that Dubai is a place where there is no envy, but there is competition. And why do I feel this? Because the expats that come here, they really want to contribute to the development of this country. So they are fully involved into this entrepreneurial world or managerial world, fast-paced. And you're not envious of someone else's position because, at least I'm not, because I know that other people are in the same situation like me. They came as expats. They really are here to contribute to the development of this country. But I feel it's a very competitive environment, which is stimulating in a way, because if I had been at home and I had done or created the same business, I have the feeling that some of my family members or friends would be envious or, I would like to have what she has, but I don't have the courage. But I started my father's job and now I continue with that. Here, you really have the possibility to express yourself, give your full potential, and be stimulated by other, let's say, competitors, other expats doing as much as you do or even more.
I think I would agree with some of that. It's definitely a very competitive place. I'm not sure I would say there isn't envy here. I've seen a lot of envy. I think what I like about here is it's easier to pull yourself away from that envy here than if I was at home. Because at home it might be from, like you described, people who weren't as brave as what you have done. but you're immersed in it. So tend to be people you're closer with all the time. Here, we're more fluid with who we can spend our time with. Like we choose our family here. And I definitely have seen a lot of envy here and a lot of begrudgery. But I then can easier choose to not be around that and to remove myself from that, because it's not something that I'm in my hometown, and what am I going to do? So yes, but I think, and a lot of that envy does come around the money piece as well. That and that belief that, oh, everybody is wealthy, and a lot of people show their wealth very publicly here.
Yes.
Whether it's, well, I say they show their riches and wealth. You know, I talk about the difference between riches and wealth. So they show whether there's any wealth behind it, we don't know. Whether it's a lot of debt, we don't know. But it's shown to be that. And I think that can be very dangerous here as well. Yeah. And the perception that we have here, exactly what Donna said, oh, you're all loaded out there. I went to a talk recently, and someone who has never lived here came and gave a talk, which seemed interesting to me in itself. Like, how can they give a talk on money here when they've never lived here? And they used the analogy about how we're all in golden cages here. Like, we don't even have golden handcuffs. You have golden cages. And I sat there and I thought, wow. And I'm a money coach, right? I see, someone said to me today, it was actually an Emirati lady I was working with today, and she said, you must see the insights, the vulnerabilities of people, you know, with their money. And I said, I do. And I see what people are struggling with. And I see how, you know, they're trying to do their best with money. And everyone is not super rich like it's thought that we are. And back to Silvia's point, everyone's here to do their best, to do the best for their family, to push their career forward, to make what they can. But it's an expensive place to live. You know, it's a high cost place to live, and it's an easy place to make money mistakes, very much easier than other places, I think. And there is then that shame, you know, that we all live in that golden age.
Yeah, but you do make some interesting points, both of you. And what I've seen is there has been a big shift of mentality from the people that have come to Dubai. Now, when I first arrived, you had to be of a certain age before you could work and live here. The jobs that was open for teachers or what have you, I think you had to be around 23, 24 years of age. Now they're letting anybody in of any age. And so back then, a lot of people were coming, they were looking at it to bring their families, and they were investing more in that family aspect. I have seen a huge shift in the mindset. People are coming as a busman's holiday. And I've seen it in the education side so much. They turn up. There's that sense of entitlement. There's that, you know, going out all the time, ladies' night brunches, what have you. And along with that, it's a sense of, well, what can I take from Dubai or the UAE instead of what can I give and contribute? So I have noticed that shift. And with regards to that stereotype, there are people here who find it very difficult to keep up with the Joneses. I don't know if you know of that phrase, Silvia. It's about keeping up with other people. So they may have a certain house, a certain car, certain jewelry, and then they're going to be living without, you know, beyond their means. They get into debt. And I've heard so many stories of people blaming Dubai for getting into debt, their marriages splitting up because what have you, maybe the husband's gone off with another younger woman or what have you. And they've blamed the country. It's not the country. These are all opportunities, and it's up to us as individuals whether we make that choice to go after something or to portray something. What do you think?
And those opportunities are available no matter what country you're in.
Exactly.
You know, you can get yourself into debt and keep up with the Joneses and behave badly no matter what country you're in. The only thing I will say is about being an expat is I think that you don't have the support network necessarily as much, that sometimes can help prevent that. So if you are, let's say, the example of someone having an affair, then you might have friends around you who know you, who your family around you, that are kind of going to ground you down a little bit, maybe to, what are you doing here? What's really happening? And then something can happen. Or with making financial decisions, you understand the ecosystem more about what that means. And a lot of the time I see with debt is people assume it's the same as at home. But at home, the bank said this, and I understand it. So I assumed it happened here too. Where you have that understanding and that kind of comfort zone at home, and that if you try to apply it in a different country, you can get you into trouble, or you're very alone in those decisions. I think that's part of being an expat. But again, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you were that way inclined, then you're at risk of that no matter where you are.
Yes, you just used a very good word, Carol, risk, because there will be people that are more at risk to have such behaviors. Now I call them financial behaviors, Carol, if I may, that eventually bring them into death. And there may be something at play there as well, which are the expectations of themselves, but also the expectations of people that have seen them leaving their home country, going abroad, have an expat life because probably of better financial opportunity or better job. And so they want to live up to that expectations as well and portray an image back home of, we finally are in Dubai or Singapore, we have a great life, but then they eventually find that they may not be able to portray and sustain that image. So I agree, this is a risk. It's a risk. Going abroad, having very high expectations that your life will turn out fantastic, that you will have a great lifestyle, financially you'll be secure and wealthier. Yes and no.
Yeah, it is possible. It's absolutely possible. Plenty of people who have done it, but I think you need to approach it with that healthy way of expectation, but not entitlement. I want this, and I want whatever it is I wanted, whatever level of wealth is fine, but it's not that sense of entitlement. Just give it to me and I don't need to do anything about it. And the level of responsibility that comes with that. So what are you going to do with that money when it comes in? When you do have the opportunities that we talked about, where you're being offered jobs that maybe are paid more than it would have in your home country, then it's up to you to do what you want to do with that money. That's on you. And back to Donna's point, you can't blame the country when it goes wrong. You make the decisions. So it's up to you, and who you surround yourself with, I think, is really important.
Very important to surround yourself with that tribe. If you're going to get, those toxic people who complain all the time, then that's going to have an impact. But also, if you are coming from another country to move here and you are having problems in your marriage, or you're having financial difficulties because maybe you haven't put processes in place, or you're not aware of where you can, and you come here, it's not a band-aid. It's just going to amplify everything unless you fix it. So, that has to come from within, with you in your unit, and you need to look in, not look out.
Yes. Always look in, and it doesn't matter what country you're in. At the end of the day, it's always about coming back to yourself and looking in as to what you want to do. And we're just lucky here, grateful here to have, it is amplified here. You have more opportunities here to do anything you want to do, really. And that's, back to the risk. If you're not within yourself, and strong in your values, then that's when problems can happen. But that will happen no matter what country you're in.
And you mentioned it is expensive. However, there's that payoff. And this is why it is so safe here. There are expectations, you've got to have a certain amount of money in your bank account. You've got to have this license. You've got to have that license. You can't bounce a check. You can't.
There's no safety net.
Of course, there's no safety net. Of course, this is the mindset that someone coming to Dubai and going to other countries, maybe Singapore, needs to have. There is no safety net. So you need to be very, very grounded and strong within yourself. So looking in, it's an exercise actually that I think people living an expat life do or are invited to do. I would invite to do more often because there's absolutely no safety net. So that's an awareness that needs to be quite high with the next life.
And there's the accountability, which I like as well. So, you know, the UAE for me kind of like opens its arms up to you and says, you know, here you go. However, the choices you make and the, you know, the consequences you are accountable for. There are certain guidelines that we would like you to respect, and everybody's aware of what these guidelines are. And if you step out, you make that choice to step out, then there are consequences.
Yep.
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's I think it's required that people are really mature in every sense, financially mature in their relationship, mature in the way they approach their new job, their new entrepreneurship, etc. There's a need of having a certain maturity, or if not, to develop that pretty quickly, because things can be risky and could or can go wrong.
Yeah. I do think it's sad, though, that, you know, there are, and we mentioned this before, I'm not going to actually mention the show's names, but there's a couple of shows that have been on Netflix with regards to Dubai. And I personally dislike them. I think they're very, very disrespectful to what this country has to offer. And they are just the icing. They are the minority of the hardworking people that live here. You know, we've got our bills to pay. There's so many of us that go above and beyond to support the community, will support people who have just arrived in the country. You know, it's not all about us. It is about us as a community. Have you noticed anything like that? You know, when these shows have aired, have you had people from your country, your friends who are living overseas going, is Dubai really like this?
Yeah, of course they wonder, you know, and they are obviously triggered by all this kind of media that there is, or special programs. They're triggered, you know, it's fantastic life, and they think that you are from Dubai, so you may also be like the person portrayed in the show. But I always have the time to explain, you know, at least to share how my life is here, and certainly what are the beautiful aspects that I embrace, but also what are the challenges, what challenges I face. And I don't shy away from talking about mindset. I do believe that to be an expat, a responsible expat, you need a mindset, a special mindset. If you don't have that, then you're better off in your own country where you have your system, your family system, safety net, then you're safer there. Again, here it's a place where you are brave, but you need to feel safe to be brave.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Carol?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of them. I have had clients say to me, you know, I watch them because I want to see what they do and how they behave and how they, you know, emulate them. And I do issue the risk warning of it's a show, you know, it's a glimpse of, and I don't know if it's scripted or not, but it's deliberately dramatized, or at least it's edited for drama. It's not real life. There might be real life people, but it's not real life. And I think if you were looking outside yourself again to see that's what I should be doing to live the life that they're living and have the wealth that they're doing, then there's a risk there. You need to look at what that means for you and what you can do within your ethics and your values to achieve that level of wealth, if that's what you want to do. Do I get questions from home? Probably not so much anymore, because you know, I don't shy when people start talking about Dubai in that the way it's sometimes portrayed in the media, and these preconceptions and these judgments and these just absolutely wrong opinions from people who've never been here. That they've seen, and the most of it's in innocence, you know, they've just seen what in the media or in these kind of shows. Yeah, I don't shy away about telling the truth of like, well, this is what it's really like, you know. And there's plenty of people in Dublin who live extravagant lifestyles, and you could do a show on them. You know, it's not just here. I think we do have more access to it here. It's magnified here for sure, but it's not unique to here. And yeah, I do think that, and people love to think it's like that because then they can separate from them as well. It's like, oh, well, that's them there, and I'm not, you know, sometimes it can be help them stay in their comfort zone. It's so far away and it's so ridiculous. And if I judge them, then I don't have to look at myself to go, well, actually, am I pushing myself out there? Am I achieving what I want to achieve? Let's judge them instead. But interestingly, on these latest shows, no, I haven't had questions. Maybe I've just exasperated everybody with my...
Well, I've refused to watch them. I mean, my children are all now in the UK. I mean, they're 24 and my twin boys are nearly 19. But it's funny because they get asked questions when they first go to university or they start a new job, and it's just like, oh, where were you born? Where did you live? And they're like, Dubai. Oh, you must have really rich parents. You must have a yacht. You must have this. Like, no, single parent, definitely no yacht. I mean, I think I bought them a blow-up rubber dinghy from Carrefour once. And said, there you go. You can tell people that we do have our own boat. But I mean, you guys will see that at some point. Or have you noticed your children, when you go back to Italy and Ireland, people asking them questions with that regard, in that regards?
Yeah, well, my kids are quite young still, but they do. Generally, their experience has been people go, oh, Dubai looks lovely, you know, from other kids. Oh, it looks amazing, and it must be lovely to live there. They haven't had any negative experiences that I'm aware of since, no, but they're still quite young. You know, my eldest she's almost 11.
The same actually. When my son goes to Italy or to Germany or even the UK, he's sometimes seen as the boy that has something different because he comes from Dubai, but there's no negative perception from other children about Dubai, not at all. And my son is actually quite happy to say, I'm from Dubai. Bearing in mind that if we want to think about the identity, in this case of my son, me being Italian, my husband being German, you know, he should say, well, I'm German and I'm half German and half Italian, but he's very happy to say he's from Dubai. And there's never been a negative comment about the city, the country here. No, not from children, maybe from parents, you know, then the parents of these children would ask me, how is it to live in Dubai? And I have to say, they have this idea that we live a wealthier life, again, because, as we said, all these shows and whatever Dubai is portrayed as. And then again, I don't shy away from sharing my experience as it is here, working and working as everyone else.
Yeah. I think that we probably get less of that as expats than maybe individuals from this region. So I've got some just Emirati clients, for example, and they tell me what they experience when they go out of the UAE.
Interesting,
Yeah, I had some interesting stories. One lady, she was very funny. She said, oh yeah, they just see me, you know, they just see me as the rich Arab. And I've had really negative experiences with police forces because of that. Yeah, she said it's very clear.
Wow.
Whereas I said I'm from Dubai, I think they would visualize that as something different, you know. So
isn't that interesting?
Very interesting comment. You're right, Carol. We are definitely seen in under a different light. And again, expats.
expats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, if anybody is thinking about coming to the UAE, I don't know about you, but I only came here for 2 years and ended up staying, doing the full circle. Came single, no children. I think I'm going to leave single with no children, but there you go, circle of life. What would any advice be from you?
I would say come with an open mind. Come with, like Sylvia said, come with curiosity. You know, this is an amazing melting pot of cultures and experiences, and it's available to anyone outside your comfort zone. But become willing to work. It's not a little cloud of everything's handed to you. Come willing to work, and it will be an amazing experience. I came here with the view of, I don't really know anything about it. We'll go for a year. If we like it, we'll stay. If not, we'll move on. 13 and a half years, I don't plan to move on anytime soon. And I think that it's an amazing place to be, but you need to come willing to work and have an open mind and, yeah, make the best of it for yourself.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I love that. Sylvia.
Yes, I also think that with Dubai being really tourist destination, I always recommend, it's a recommendation, people that want to move here to perhaps visit Dubai. I know as a holiday, of course, come a few times, because that's what my husband and I did before we moved here. Eventually, we knew that we were going to move here. We came quite a few times, twice a year, to relax on holiday, but we got into this life. And so when we eventually moved to Dubai, we kind of knew what to expect. And we had done some research, and do contact people, lots of the expats locally. You know, they can actually give you the true story about what it is like living in Dubai.
Yeah, I would say also be careful of some of the Facebook groups, because sometimes it can just be one big negative pit. So take some of that with a grain of salt, but definitely do your homework beforehand. And if you're coming, one of the big tips, if you're coming here and you find yourself saying, but that's how we do it at home, it's up to you to change that mind. You're not at home, you're in the UAE, and they have got so many different nationalities that they're trying to cater for, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. But it's not England, it's not Ireland, it's not Italy or Germany. So banking systems, document systems, all those school systems, everything is different. So definitely do your research. But if you're looking for a place where, your children are going to be safe, you're going to be safe, you can be outside, you can live in a nice environment, and you get the opportunity to sample so many different cultures, then you will love it here. But as you've both said, you are going to have to work for it. Yeah. That's the trade-off. If you want the safety and great medical care and all the rest of it, there is a trade-off. But yeah, I've been very happy here, and like you, Carol, I don't know when I'm going to leave. Although at the age I'm getting, there will be one way.
Same here. I don't know when I'm going to leave. It's home now.
Home.
It is. Okay, so I just want to say to you both, thank you so much for joining in this conversation today. I think people can see that, we have a lot of respect, a lot of love for the UAE and the opportunities it has given us personally as a family and in our businesses as well. And I know today I'm very, very grateful because I've met you two here in the UAE. So yes. Thank you both very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Carol, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening.